Hello, everybody. Bob Oxley here, and it's time for tips, topics, issues, and positions. And today's topic is Dixie State University's decision to go Division I in athletics starting in 2020. And my pleasure is to have back Dr. Jason Booth, the athletic director for Dixie State University. And I've received a lot of questions over the last week since the formal announcement was made on Friday of last week. And Dixie State's moving forward to Division I. So welcome back.
Thank you,
Dr. Booth.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Listen, if you talk about excitement, both on this campus and in the community, and all sorts of conjecture going on, so I'm just going to have some fun here and just ask you some questions because I know you've had open forums for the community. Yeah. You also made the formal announcement. The governor even came down. Governor Herbert came down, and the lieutenant governor was here. And I have the opportunity to sit in on that announcement in the old gymnasium there. That was kind of unique. It was kind of unique.
Yep.
So let me get started then. Division I, Dixie State University. I know you say the starting date is July the 1st in 2020.
Correct.
But I am sure between now and July 1st of 2020, there is a lot to do. Yep. And I guess to start off with, the big question mark, we're going to be entering the Western Athletic Conference. We talked about this before. And ironically, last time you were on the air on this program, we were talking about the feasibility study, whether or not we were going to go Division I. And wow, a lot has happened since you were on last. So can you kind of give us an idea? I guess the one of the big questions that came forward was, wait a minute, Western Athletic Conference does not have a football program, and we're going to be starting out brand new in Division I. How many years is it going to be before we are competitive? How many years does it take to get a program to get something started? And can you just give us a ballpark? I know you've thought this through, so okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, we believe we're going to be competitive from day one. Are we going to have a winning season? Who knows? The challenge, we will have a significant challenge with our schedule, being an independent, and we know that. We have the advantage of having the Big Sky schools all over our region that will have buys that are willing to play us. Unfortunately, at the beginning of this experience for us, beginning in 2020, those schools are really not able to come to us because of the way the schedules lay out. So it's okay. It's just people are going to have to be patient with who we're playing and where in the first few years. So our home schedule the first season may not have a single Division I coming to St. George. And that's very common in a situation like this. So we'll have Division IIs, maybe some NAIAs, we want home games. And they'll be competitive. I mean, they'll be good games. It's probably most likely the teams that we are used to playing in the GNAC and even some RMAC schools. Okay. But as we go along in 21, that'll get a little bit less. In 22, a little bit less. In 23 and 24, even less and less. We're trying to be all Division I in 21. We're going to try, but it's going to be hard because those teams have got full schedules at this point or close to full, and there's a lot of options that we can do as far as teams that are more out of our regions, for example, in the Southeast and in the East Coast that we can get into agreements with where we go there, they come here, fill out a schedule. And so that's probably what we'll end up doing. But just to preface the schedule piece, it may not be real sexy the first couple of years, just to warn everybody.
I understand.
But it'll be fun. Our program then will have a chance to grow and experience some success because it will be a tough sled when we're going to be playing SUU in our first game. I mean, they're a good program. They're established.
What's the date for that again?
September 5th, 2020.
Everybody listen to that. Yeah. September 5, 2020 at SUU.
At SUU.
Oh, yeah. Mark that on your calendar.
Yeah, and we've got other Big Sky schools, and we've got a pretty good schedule coming together for 2020, but it won't be easy. However, at the same time, our program is going to be growing over this next, in this recruiting class right now. Coaches are out recruiting right now for Division I. And then this next recruiting class after this one will be the first really, really important one. Not that this one isn't important. It's really important too. But we'll have a Division II year to kind of get our feet under us. But not to say that we're going to go undefeated in Division II this next year, and that's not the case whatsoever. With a coaching change and transition, we still may have some growing pains there. But it's all worth it, because in the long run, this program will be ready and will be successful at Division I. And as an independent, we'll have the ability to craft our schedule how we want it. I know, for example, in 24, it looks like our first 3 games, in 2024, our first year of full eligibility, it looks like our first 3 games will be at home.
Wow.
All against Division I teams.
Wow.
So that'll be fun. And to get those teams here, they're probably not used to the heat. I mean, we're talking late August as a first game. So welcome to St. George. Let's go.
That's for sure.
So, it's hard for people to understand the schedules. We've got some 2-for-1 agreements out there where we're going to someone twice and they're coming here once. That's all they can do. They really have one slot to fill in 20 and 21, but then they can do a home and away. That's why it's a 2-for-1, where we're going to take the money that they're going to give us for that first game, where it's a single game in theory, and then we'll be home and away. And then we'll start to build home and aways with everybody.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
But the program, I mean, we're not going to say we're going to come into Division I and dominate. That's not even possible for teams that are established. But we know we'll have some growing pains and take some tough losses. But the team is going to be competitive and be right there and have a product that everyone can be proud of.
Okay. As far as the scholarships are concerned, we've jumped to, as far as potentially, we could have 63 just for the football.
Correct.
For football.
Yeah.
Of that 63, can we implement that next year?
No.
We cannot implement it until officially July 1st, 2020.
Yeah, because we're still under Division II rules next year. So that maximum per the RMAC rules is 34. The Division II maximum is 36, but the RMAC has a limit just within the conference of 34.
Okay.
So we'll be within 34. But here's, again, what a lot of people don't understand is that in Division I, you can give a maximum of 60, Division I FCS, where we will be, 63 equivalency full scholarships to a maximum of 85 guys. So, if you have an 86th guy on the roster, he's got to be a walk-on. So in Division II, there isn't that limit. So you can give any number of guys up to a maximum of 34 scholarships.
Got it.
So right now, we're giving aid to 86 guys.
Wow.
So it's not going to change a ton, other than those guys that are getting aid are going to get more. And so that mixture of the talent that we want to give a full ride to is going to change. There are guys on the roster today that we want to give a full ride to. And then with recruiting classes, we'll upgrade the talent, and the team will become better as a result with the additional scholarships.
Okay, scheduling. One of our listeners called in and said, "This is a piece of advice from him, indicating everybody has advice for you. This would be use St. George's weather to get the teams to come here in November or in late October." I said, in other words, talked about the North Dakota and that type of thing to see if they get them here.
Yeah, sure. Well, remember they play in domes, so they don't care about the weather, at least in North Dakota. The issue with late season is that they're in conference, so they don't have any openings. They will have, like the Big Sky, they have buys late in the year, and so we have to get really creative with some of those teams where we will be playing them later in the year, but we got to get creative and see if they're willing to take their bye earlier in the year, like in week 2 or 3, where they would have an opening that they would then just not play somebody in order to then get into their conference schedule and then play all their conference plus us without a break, like midway through the season. And a lot of them are willing to do that to get another home game, or to make an easy trip to St. George, or in their minds a perceived easy road win. Well, by the time we get to that point, it may not be such an easy road win, and we don't have any plans to make it one. An easy road win for any means, but it's the weather is an advantage for us, especially when we do have openings. Like I was saying, in 24, we've got those 3 home games at the very beginning of the season. They're not going to be used to 105.
That's right. Even with a 6 p.m. start.
Yeah, even 7 o'clock. We may even go to 7 o'clock to make it easier for the fans, because we'll be independent. We won't be limited to conference rules as we are now for when we have to start. So.
Got it. All right. I was made aware of something that's from the NCAA called a transfer portal, and it has something to do with if there's student athletes in a program and they decide to leave the program for whatever reason.
Yep.
and it's the NCAA rule is that the institution where they're coming from has to post their name and availability on a roster within 48 hours.
Yeah.
With this transfer portal, do you think that might be helpful to recruiting for Dixie State University? Because we're just getting started,
Sure.
and it would be the thinking is that these student athletes have already been reviewed, approved, and they're leaving a program for whatever the reason. Do you think that might?
That's the tricky part, is why are they leaving?
Right. Okay.
And so while it'll be a lot more transparent and easier for us to find out that they're available, then the work begins is, okay, why? Why are they leaving? Is it just because they just haven't played and they want a chance to start? Well, then awesome, great. But there are a long list of reasons, other reasons why they may be leaving. Just disgruntled, and is that the type of person you want on your team?
Yeah.
Is it they just want to come home? And are they from St. George or from Utah or Southern Utah? Well, then great. So it doesn't erase those questions as to why someone is going to be leaving, because the transfer portal isn't allowing more kids to transfer. It's making it more transparent and making the word get out faster that they're available and having everyone be able to look at it. So in some ways it makes it easier. In some ways it makes it more difficult, because now more people know about it and can jump in and maybe steal somebody that back in the day where if they knew that we knew about this kid that was going to be transferring, we can jump in and sign him. But yet the bigger schools may not know about it because you were friends with one of the coaches and they gave you a heads up. But now it's on the transfer portal and everyone can see it, so it might make it a little bit harder.
Does this form also? You brought up about why are they leaving? Does it give an indication as to why, or are we as Dixie State allowed to contact that university and find out?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can call the coaches and find out why. Yeah, I have not. It's pretty new, and our associate AD for compliance handles all that for us, and I have not physically myself been into the portal to see what information's on there. I doubt that there's any information on there. From what I recall, it's just their name and their institution, position, and that they're on the transfer portal.
Got it. Is there any limitation next year once we go into Division I? Is there a limitation as to how many Division II schools that can play in? I'm thinking football now.
Football specifically. In order for our games to count as a counter Division I game, whether we're playing an FCS school on our same level or an FBS team for bowl eligibility, so the FCS team for playoff implications for them, or an FBS team for bowl implications, in order for a game to count, because we're a provisional team for 4 years, we have to play at least 50% of our games against Division I competition.
Okay.
So we have to, in an 11-game season, well, in either 11 or 12, we have to play at least 6.
Okay.
And so that's what we're trying to get to in that 2020 years, playing at least 6. And again, most of those are going to be on the road, if not all of them, and then finish up with non-Division I's at home. But we're still trying to get. If we can get a Division I to come here in 20, we're going to take it if we can.
Like you indicated, conferences going on and getting near the end,
and then there's numbers for other sports too that will limit us for our games to count. But in our transition period, it won't matter for us for it to count. But we'll have to be sensitive to make sure that we don't play too many, so that our games against those other Division I opponents will count for their eligibility for the postseason, even though we're not going to the postseason for 4 years.
Okay, so we're not eligible to go to the postseason until 2024.
Correct.
Is that the first year?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So really, we got 6 years of getting ready to launch and ramp up.
The remainder of this year, next year, and then 4, so 5. Yeah, 5 full seasons. Yeah.
Okay. As far as basketball is concerned, this is listeners that also are feeding back. They say they've always been proud of this basketball program that we have here.
Yep.
And the women's basketball is really starting to come together.
Yep.
I had the opportunity to watch them the other night.
Yep.
They correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that the transition from Division II to Division I for Dixie State on basketball, both women's and men's basketball, is going to be less difficult than it is for the football.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? Because
sure. Just if numbers helps, if the listeners are more quantifiably driven, think about the difference in the type of talent that we're going to be able that other teams can attract with 63 scholarships versus 34. So that is a huge difference in talent that's on the field. For example, Division II, we're not even allowed to play an FBS team with 86 scholarships. We can't play Utah or BYU, even if they wanted to play us right now as a Division II. It's not allowed because they know that, okay, that difference, that's not fair. That's not going to happen. We'd love to get the guarantees that they pay, but now when we go to FCS, we can play them. So just looking at the transition from a Division II to an FCS, 34 to 63, that's a huge difference. In basketball, it's only right now the equivalency for basketball is 10.
Wow.
And it goes up to 13.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So with the addition of 3 more guys, I mean, that's not that big of a difference. So we're basically there already. We change who, kind of the mixture of who we're giving what to, and full rides. Again, some guys will get the short end of that or have to walk on and not be able to be on aid as we grow into a Division I program. But the difference is we'll have more of an opportunity to get Division I level athletes because the opportunities elsewhere are just as limited.
Okay.
13. We're not too far off to make up that difference, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Very interesting. Let me just move around the schedule here. What about baseball and softball? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be less of a stress as compared to the football program on the baseball?
Yes.
Because of the same reasons?
Same reasons, yeah. Plus, our programs are pretty well established in those two sports as well. Football is still growing, so a little bit of some growing pains even still with that. But baseball, we've got Division I athletes for both of those programs today.
Yes.
So that transition won't be as painful, we hope. Again, we're going to have some pains in there just because it's a different level. But it won't be as of an uphill climb as it will be for football.
Okay. What about some of the other sports that we currently have? Mm-hmm. Are the coaches behind this? Are they excited about this?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I just by a week ago, just having an opportunity to talk to a few people, the coaches seem to be 100% Division I. Let's go. Yeah. It's going to help out the university.
Why wouldn't they be? All of a sudden, you go from a Division II head coach to a Division I head coach. That's
true.
Pretty good.
That's
a promotion true. Without really doing anything. But the expectations will change. So they get that, and they know that. Right now we want our basketball teams to get to the NCAA tournament every year. And we know the women's program is growing. But baseball traditionally has gotten there. Softball's traditionally gotten there.
Yes.
Softball's gotten there every single year we've been able to. Basketball every year but 2 on the men's side. So that's the expectation, and anything short of that is disappointing. And winning a conference championship is awesome and it's exciting, but that's not the end goal at Division II. It's getting to the NCAA tournament and advancing and trying to win a regional championship, if not a national championship.
Got it.
Still very, very difficult to do. Division I, those expectations are going to be less in a way. Our men's basketball team, we're not going to expect to get to the NCAA tournament every single year because it's just a different thing. I mean, we're not going into the ACC and have an ACC level basketball team and, expect to be really powerful and be in the top half of that and get an at-large bid every year. That's not going to be the WAC. That's not the WAC. The WAC is a very strong basketball league. So, but even still, traditionally, they've only gotten one into the NCAA tournament with their automatic bid. Okay. On occasion, as it gets stronger and the strength of schedules throughout the conference gets stronger, you may see a second, team get in with an at-large bid, but that's going to take time. So that's why our expectations can't be you got to get to the NCAA tournament every single year. Well, then you're going to fail most of the time. Now, Grant, when we get to the NCAA tournament, it's going to be huge. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But the expectations would be we win a conference championship. That's amazing. Win a conference championship. That's incredible. We're probably getting to the NCAA tournament with that because you can win a regular season conference championship, not win the conference tournament championship, and not get into the NCAA tournament.
That's right.
So, but you win a WAC championship, hang that banner. That's a pretty remarkable year. Even more so than Division II winning a RMAC or a Pac West championship, getting to the NCAA tournament, and doing whatever in that. So that's what the expectations will change. So they are excited to get in and give it a chance and recruit a different level of athlete and compete at a higher level. We've had discussions with them ongoing for the last 6 months, as we started exploring this, and just to gauge their expertise and their thoughts and opinions, because they're going to be the ones, they're the boots on the ground, like really out there. The questions of, can we recruit, student athletes? Some sports we knew we can because we're already doing it. Other sports is, what does it look like? Can we recruit them? What do you think? How are our facilities? The whole list. And they're on board and fired up and ready to go.
It's a fantastic thing. It's going to happen. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from our listeners. As far as promotion's concerned, and our listeners aren't naive. Mm-hmm. A minor concern is the cost of going to the athletic events. Is it going to be cost prohibitive because they're used to bringing the families?
Well, we probably will not be able to do kids 18 and under for free, but it's not going to be so much so that they won't be able to afford to come to the games. We'll still have promotions and have free tickets out in the community and whatnot, but we will have to be smart and charge a little bit more and be more strict with who we're letting in for free, because we have to pay for it. There's a cost that comes with it. When we're playing in New Mexico State on a regular basis in the WAC, memberships have its privileges, but it also has its responsibilities that we're going to have to pay for it. Now, our pro forma does not have us building up our revenue base with ticket sales alone. That's a part of it, a very small part of it, but I don't foresee. I mean, we're at $12 for a reserved and $9 for a general admission right now, which is I don't see it going up too much more than that. Okay. What we may have is for specific targeted games, you might see it be a little bit more, and we might have a little bit more room in that case to do some promotions with those games. But let's say, for example, in an amazing scenario, we were able to get Arizona men's basketball to come in and play us for somehow. We might have to go there for 2 years and then they come here for 1 year. Well, to help the program out, we might increase the cost for that one game, to $16 or $20 a person, and a little bit and cheaper for the kids, as opposed to 12 and 9. That's an idea. We haven't even started thinking about that or even putting plans into place. But for the most part, it will be pretty close to where we're at today. Booster Club memberships is really going to be in the season tickets and the Booster Club memberships that we're going to really need help. We might have some slight changes with that, where our Booster Club membership may not include your tickets, but it will, in order to join the Booster Club in order for the right to buy season tickets, but in the end, you're spending the same amount of money. Yeah. So it's some slight changes like that, just to start establishing some a bigger base to really draw from and have the support of.
I just want to tell you that when you made this announcement a week ago, I didn't know what the reaction would be. Mm-hmm. And it's been positive. Yeah. Especially the people outside of the university.
Yep.
We talked about this last time we were together, about community and that.
Yeah.
What an opportunity.
Yeah. And we're sensitive. So to come back to your question about the cost, we don't want to overcharge. And so that will be the fine line where we have to balance and make sure we're not charging something that people don't want to pay. Now, this community is traditionally doesn't want to pay for too much, we found, and that's okay. I get it. Large families is expensive to go out to the movies or go to games, so we're going to be sensitive to that.
And that's that's where the questions came from. Because they continuously in the questioning they came my family 4 or 5.
Sure.
It's a big deal.
We want to be a family, an option for families to come.
Right.
So
I've got one quick question I want to get in. I just got the high sign, but I want to get this in. You had a husband and wife come up on the stage and say, "I'd like to give $1 million to the women's softball program at Dixie State."
Yep.
You want to take just a few seconds and just say who they were and what does that really mean?
It's Dennis and Diane Lyman.
Yes.
From here at St. George. They also split their time during the year in Wyoming. You can probably figure out what time of the year they're there and what time of the year they're here. But they introduced themselves to me one day when our offices were down in the Burns Arena, and I invited them to the game that night. They were just looking for, how do you get tickets to games? And I said, well, actually, here's some passes. Come tonight, be my guest. And we've just stayed in touch, but they have come to softball games and just fell in love with the softball team.
That is fantastic.
And they know we have a major need with that facility to upgrade it, and they called and said, we want to help with that, and here you go.
And the artist, we saw the picture that you put up on the screen last week.
Yeah, the renderings. Yeah,
state of the art.
Yep.
Equivalent to the University of Utah.
It's basically,
and here we are in Dixie State, Division I. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
When we can pull that off, it's $1 million, but to build that is $5 million. So we're 20% of the way there. It's a great, amazing initial gift, and we're going to get started and go out and raise some more money. But with the announcement of Division I, hopefully that'll help. But to have that sort of facility here, that's a game changer. Yeah. It will establish our softball program as a legitimate, powerful Division I program just in the facility alone. And then you add in how good our program and coaches, athletes already are.
Absolutely.
It's going to be awesome.
The history of that team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm getting that high sign over here. Unfortunately, we have to end this program. I'm just so enthusiastic about the
Me too.
decision. I know you are. But I just want to thank you for taking time. I'm going to let the listeners in on something. Today is Dr. Booth's son's birthday.
15.
And 15 today. And he actually took time out. He was supposed to have lunch with him today, and I convinced him to come here. And so that's a sacrifice. I really appreciate you being here.
I probably did more of a favor to him by not having lunch with him.
I don't think so. Yeah. But I really want to thank you. You've clarified, answered a lot of questions, and just excitement reigns, and we're moving forward. And wow.
It's an exciting time.
Dixie State University, moving forward. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes tips for this week. Topics, issues, and positions. If you want to hear our show, we're on every Friday at 3 p.m. on KDXI 100.3 FM, as well as on Saturday we rebroadcast this show at 5 p.m. on KDXI 100.3 FM. Also, if you want to take a look at us and take a look at Dr. Booth and his smiley face. I don't know why he has a smile on his face. You think he got Division I or something. Oh, he did. That's right. You can take a look at it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Our podcast is Podbean. That's our affiliate there. And I guess you can, all you have to do, those of you that have Alexis, just say, Alexis, Radio St. George tips. And Alexa will come back and say, what program? And you just have to say Division I, and they'll get it on the air for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much. I'll be back with you next week. This is Bob Oxley signing off, and please have a safe and enjoyable weekend.